Hello, job seekers. Melanie here with CGL Recruiting, and you made it. We're on session 18, the final session in Interview Bootcamp. Are you tired? Probably a little bit. It was a lot of questions as we went through this process. Now, this last set of questions that we're going to be covering today are ones that I think actually interview coaches don't focus on. And they are just as important as all of the soft skill, behavioral-based interview questions. And these are your skill-specific questions. Now, what do I mean by a skill-specific question? This is something of, do you have experience in Python? Do you have experience in Lean Six Sigma? Where they're looking for a very specific skill and wanting to see if you have what they need for that. And we spend so much time focusing on competencies and other things that sometimes I think we forget that you have to do really, really well on these. Most times, these are gates. And what I mean by a gate is if you don't answer the way that they want or in a way that they feel like you can get to where they want, then you're a no-go. Now, a lot of times these skill-specific things are gates that are actually on a resume, and you've already made it through the gate because it appeared on your resume. But that doesn't mean that they're not going to still ask you questions. In fact, you're going to find a lot of times they're going to spend a lot of time focusing on these. So let's look at some skill-specific questions and how you can do your best on them. The first one I want to take a look at is one that's more ethereal, and that is, what transferable skills do you bring to this position? Now, when they're talking about transferable skills, don't only get stuck on soft skills. If you know that in the job description, they asked for specific skills and pointed them out, like, I want 4 years experience with, anything, Python, and you don't choose to do Python as one of these, I think you're missing out. Think about anytime somebody's interviewing you, they have a need that they want to get filled. And they want you to be able to be an easy fill and say, oh, yes, I have that. You need that? Yes, I have that. So when you're asked a question like this, don't just focus on, well, I think I bring great communication skills and I have, wonderful follow through and attention to detail. If you know that they're going to be implementing SAP as their ERP globally, and they ask you, what transferable skills do you bring to this position? It would be a great thing to say, well, I actually implemented SAP in the following countries. And let me tell you the experience I gained where I think that this key skill is going to help with this position. That is brilliant if you can find a skill that you have that's on that job description that's specific like that, that's going to meet that need. You will beat out other candidates that may say something like, well, I have Oracle. Well, that's great if you have Oracle, but if they're all that's on the mind of that hiring manager is, I need somebody that's an expert in SAP. I need an SAP expert. For those of you that have worked in both systems, they're very similar, right? Accounting, like is accounting, it's just where you place the different things. So yes, it may be that you're fantastic because you have Oracle, but if you have SAP, you've made it easier in the mind of that hiring manager. So find those skills specific that match from you to that job description. And when you're asked this question, that's what you want to answer. Now, it is okay to include some soft skills in there too, by all means, because that may be part of their job description. Just don't do only that and not hit these others. Okay, let's take a look at something else where you may see this. And that's going to be, tell me about a project where you used blank skill. Now, again, I'm talking more about the specific skills, not something that is a behavioral based where you use leadership skills. When they're asking, tell me about a project where you used your Lean Six Sigma skills, or where you used your whatever specific skill. In those instances, make sure you stay focused on trying to give not only the breadth of that specific skill, but also the depth. So not only did I implement SAP globally, but I did it across 3 business lines. And we did it in one section that was doing project-based accounting and another that was doing the following accounting. It did it internationally, so we had to do US GAAP and IFRS. Anything that you can give that shows on a specific skill that they're looking for, your breadth and depth of a skill is going to meet their needs greater. And this does take a little bit of practice and some time when you're thinking about this. So think about before you walk in, look at that job description, see what those specific skills are, and try to think if you were the interviewer, what types of questions would you ask surrounding those specific skills? Okay, there may be other times that they're doing skill-specific probing questions where they're trying to get from you if they feel like you're being too ethereal and they want to know tactically what you know about a specific skill where they're going to probe heavy. And so they may say, okay, let's go back again to the SAP example. Okay, so when you were implementing SAP, what specifically did you do in the fixed accounting module that you felt was most helpful to the organization, or fixed assets module, sorry. When they're asking you a question like that, they're trying to dive in to see, do you understand the fixed assets module or not? So this is a point in time where you want to be detailed, very, very detailed if you can. Things like, well, when you're trying to implement that fixed asset module and you're doing it with the business that I was going, we had the following problem with the project doing this and this. We were able to fix that by changing the setting on da 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 da. Now, I know that feels really tactical, but what that's showing is your actual level of the skill. And that's what they're trying to get to if you find that they're continually asking you those more detailed probing questions. They're feeling uncomfortable, you need to answer them by giving them that breadth and depth information. And I know sometimes this can be challenging and difficult as you're going through when you feel like, holy cow, I know what I'm doing, just trust me. But they're trying to really understand if you get the nuances of whatever that's very, very specific skill is. And this can be, I focus a lot on software. It can be if you're a machinist and they may ask you something very specific on dealing with a lathe or a mill and saying, when you're dealing with a 4-axis mill versus a 5-axis mill, what do you think the primary difference is? And they're going to want to know that you understand the difference. Again, they're trying to probe into those specific skills. This is not a time to be humble. This is a time to be able to show your skills. And the more you can do it when you're showing those skills by giving real world examples, the better you are. Okay, job seekers, you made it. You have made it through 18 different sessions of Interview Bootcamp. Now, we do have some other videos that do focus on other parts of interviews, whether you're doing them virtually, in person, what to say in an interview, what to do in an interview. I do recommend take some time every day and hone your interview skills, especially if it's been a long time since you've done it last. Get an interview buddy, record yourself doing interviews. Whatever you need to do to practice is going to help you immensely. I know you can do this, job seekers. I have confidence and I know that the right job is out there for you. Don't stop. Keep going. All right. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.